manhunt for Brian Laundrie taking on new urgency with his father joining search crews for the first time at that nature reserve in Florida. It comes as Gabby Petito's mother pleads with Laundrie to turn himself in, saying she's growing more frustrated as the days go on. Leila Santiago is out front.
Today, Brian Laundrie's father, Chris Laundrie, assisting authorities in the search for his son. After leaving his house alone this morning, Chris is seen entering the Carlton Reserve along with the police. The attorney for the family telling CNN Brian's father spent more than 3 hours at the 25,000-acre reserve assisting authorities in the search. Chris was asked to point out any favorite trails or spots that Brian may have used in the preserve. Although Chris and Roberta Laundrie provided this information verbally 3 weeks ago, it is now thought that on-site assistance may be better. Brian reportedly told his parents he was headed to the reserve when they last saw him on September 13th, more than 3 weeks later, and still no sign of Gabby Petito's fiancé. The attorney for Laundrie's parents telling CNN Brian's parents believe he is still there, adding the parents see no reason to make a public call for Brian to surrender to authorities because he says, quote, in short, the parents believe Brian was and still is in the preserve, so there was no reason to issue a plea on media that he, Brian, does not have access to. Police are now denying that a recent campsite was found at the Carlton Reserve after a source close to the family reported one Wednesday, holding off Chris Laundrie from the search for a day while police investigated. Northport police telling CNN, quote, is it possible that they thought there might be a campsite out there or something they may have seen from the air, but when they got on the ground, that's not what it turned out to be? Sure, I think that's a possibility. But he also says, quote, bottom line is that investigators are telling me that no campsite was found out there. Meanwhile, Gabby Petito's parents and step-parents grieving her loss and telling Fox News they hope Brian Laundrie is found alive.
He's a missing piece of the puzzle to find out what
I always
happened.
say he's the key. He's the key to the puzzle.
What happened out there? You know, until they find him, we won't know.
We believe he knows everything.
And according to the attorney for Brian's parents, there were no discoveries out there in that reserve today. He told us that that Chris Laundrie, Brian's father, was out there to show search teams his favorite spots or places where Brian was known to frequent. And the attorney added in his statement that they hope they can find Brian. Aaron?
All right, Leila, thank you. I want to go to Dave Canterbury. He's a survival expert who lived in Northport, Florida, where the search is underway for Brian Laundrie, and Casey Jordan, a criminologist and behavioral analyst. Thanks to both. So, Dave, Brian Laundrie's parents are convinced he's in this nature preserve. That's what they've been saying, and that they wouldn't look anywhere else. If Laundrie has been there for the past 25 days, how likely do you think it is that he could still be alive and, undetected to this point?
I think a lot of that depends really on how prepared he was when he entered the area to begin with. If he had supplies in a backpack, which it's rumored that he had ways to disinfect water through filtration and cover elements to protect himself from the weather and things like that, he could survive for a certain period of time. But if he had ways to gather food and process that food, he could survive even longer. The question really becomes, if you can gather food, how are you going to process and cook that food without starting fire? And if your filtration fails, how are you going to disinfect the water without fire? Starting fire is going to be a big no-no for him if he doesn't want to get found or seen. So I think it's going to be very difficult for him to stay out there for a very long period of time. But I think up to this point, he could have enough stuff in a backpack to have gotten along this far and still be there.
Well, that's a pretty significant thing to say. I mean, you understand this well. I mean, a lot of people hear 25 days, they wouldn't think that. So I think it's important that you give that context. So, Casey, Brian Laundrie's father was there at the nature reserve for about 3 hours today with the FBI in their search. The Laundrie's attorney says he showed the FBI the trails, the places that Brian liked to hike. But he says, that they already gave this information to the FBI 3 weeks ago. So what do you think this is all about with Brian Laundrie's father now joining them here 25 days later?
I don't think this was so much about looking for campsites. I don't believe that they think that Brian Laundrie is there or ever was there. I think this is what they call an observational tour. It was more about law enforcement observing Chris Laundrie, talking to him, maybe trying to loosen him up. try to gain his trust, try to get a little bit more cooperation.
Mm.
And as they walk through the reserve, find out what he's chatting about, what he's telling them about his son. You remember 10 years ago with Casey Anthony, they did an observational tour all the way into Universal Studios where she said she worked, even though they knew that she didn't work there, because they were trying to figure out what she would do at the end of the game. So I think this was just an
Mm.
exercise in trying to rule out the reserve. I don't think they've ever believed he was really there. At least they ruled it out 2 or 3 weeks ago when there was no sign of him at all.
This is a fascinating point here. So, Dave, Gabby Petito's family did an interview today where they said they believe Brian Laundrie is alive and hiding somewhere, and they cite his experience as an outdoorsman. Listen to this.
I'm not certain, but I would think that he's in an area like the Appalachian Trail or a campground where he can live off the land because he had those skills.
Do you think he's alive? Do you think he's in the country?
I do believe he's alive. Country. I have no idea.
So, Dave, they're talking about how he has experience hiking the Appalachian Trail. Obviously, with the van life that he had been living with Gabby, we know he has a significant amount of experience, but you know what that really means and what it would really require. So would any of this really prepare him to survive in the wild or in that Florida nature reserve?
I think if you're talking about the Florida Nature Preserve, not necessarily. I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration that you wouldn't have to worry about as an Appalachian Trail hiker. You can, on the Appalachian Trail, walk 2 or 3 days, bounce into a town, resupply any equipment that you may need to replace, get food that you may need to get for the next 2 or 3 days, and move on. You can even get postal drops of supplies and food. He's not going to have that opportunity if he's in that wildlife area. And that's going to make it more difficult for him because he will have to find food from the wild sooner or later. And again, 25 days, people go that long without food, and it's not a major health concern. But going much longer than that is going to become a major health concern, especially with the weather getting colder and his body core temperature adjusting to that and burning more calories faster.
So, Casey, the Laundrie family's attorney says his parents are, quote, distraught and upset. But I'll be honest with you, I think people around this country are wondering why they never came out and said, they've never been tearful. They've never expressed that concern. They've never expressed love for his fiancée. They've never asked for help to find him. Their attorney telling us, quote, the parents believe Brian was and still is in the preserve, so there was no reason to issue a plea on media that he does not have access to. Casey, does that explanation make any sense to you? Does it make their silence any less suspicious?
It does not. And from the get go, I think as we recreate everything, we are figuring out that almost everything they say and do, and their attorney says and does, is really a red herring. And this campground to the DeSoto Park that they went to on the 6th and 7th and 8th, I am beginning to wonder if that was a dry run because it's a kind of
Mm.
like a sandbar peninsula campground where a boat may have picked him up and scooted him off to a Caribbean island, maybe someplace like Cuba that doesn't have extradition. So I think that the more we listen to the Laundrie family, the more they're getting over on the public and law enforcement. I think that they need to look a little more externally. They're afraid that he may have harmed himself. I think they say that because they know that he is quite well and quite safe somewhere else.
Mm. Wow. All right. Thank you both very much. I appreciate it.